I'd like to invite Steve Flanagan to step up and speak for the next 15 minutes. Steve is one of my best friends in my life. I love him. I appreciate everything he does. And please give him your full attention.
I was telling Gary on the way in here, I said, I can't wait to come before this crowd. Because for the last 4.5, 5 years, I've done what you guys have done. Went out there and organized the sheeple in a place called New York State. Very difficult, but we did it. As Gary said, we had 5,000 people out there in the last 5 years that have knocked on the doors, have made the phone calls, have worked in the campaigns, have made a difference, have gotten the attention of the press. We've been able to do it in probably one of the worst states in the Union. But you also have to look at the reality of what's happened. You know, we talk about the Middle East over there. They take care of politics with a gun. We don't do that in America. At least not yet. Strike that from the tape. But anyway, what we have to do is we fight at the ballot box. That's where it is. That's what we're doing. That's what you people do. There's some simple things that have to happen in the next 55 days. And I'm not talking about the election for governor in Florida. Because if that governor can't win after 4 years in office and the way things have gone down here, then I don't know. Then maybe we give up everything. But we can do something in the next 55 days to fundamentally change the country. And I don't mean fundamentally change it the way Obama changed it. I mean return it. Return it to how and what we expect from a country and from so-called leaders. And as Gary said, it's only the people in this room and your memberships that are going to be able to do it. It's as simple as that. Even the founding fathers, they never thought there would be a vast majority of people that would drive public policy. They always said that it was going to be what? A loud and vocal minority who are out there to win the heart and soul of people. That's what we're trying to do. Every time you go out there and you talk to people like you, we're preaching to the choir, you know what the problems are. You know this country has to change. You know we have to get back to the fundamentals of the Constitution, individual liberty, free enterprise. When was the last time anybody used the words free enterprise with pride? When? We have to change that. We have to change that. And one thing that we've also recognized from our side on the conservative movement, my organization was Conservative Society for Action. Operative word, action. You can talk, you can try and educate, you can try and do all that stuff, but if you don't act, what have you really done? And I think Thomas Jefferson said it way back. He said, don't define me by what I talk about, define me by my actions, because your actions will delineate and define you. That's true. And what we've done at Concerned Veterans for America is we're trying to come up with the methodology to win. We all know what the left has done over the last 50, 60 years. They organize better than us. They reach their base better than us. They get out the vote better than us. They have 10, 20, or 30 times the number of operatives than we've always had. Our goal in the next couple of years is to change that here, especially in this state. Now, a lot of people went home after the last presidential election because they were disgusted. They were disgusted that this country could re-elect that person back in the White House. Florida had a lot to do with that. And I'm not talking about you or your members. But if you were to analyze the numbers, I'm sure you know this. Out of 200 votes cast, one vote made the difference. One vote out of 200. That has to change. That has to change. And the only way it's going to change is if we do on our side what the other side has been doing to us for the last 20 or 30 years. And that is organize, get the methodology together. As Gary said, it's not fun work. It's difficult work. We need to get together and make phone calls. We have to identify those people out there that are willing to work and help and spread the word and make sure they vote. Our organization, Concerned Veterans for America, it has exactly the same charter as any Tea Party organization in the country, including mine, we're for smaller government, responsibility, free enterprise, individual liberty, the Constitution. Our goals and objectives are exactly the same as yours. But what we're trying to do is provide you with a method to get your members involved so that they can make the difference. Sounds simple, but people have to show up. People have to be determined. People have to understand that if I make 20 phone calls and I reach 20 people out there that feel like us and we can identify them, and we can increase that turnout by 2%, we win. We win here in Florida, we win in states like North Carolina, we win in states like Virginia, we win in states like Ohio. You know what those states are called? The swing states. If we're going to have a future in this country, we have to be successful in those places. We have to. We have to. I had 5,000 members up in New York, one of the worst places to operate. But they were effective in other places around the country because we worked. We called into places like Nevada, where we have a certain senator. This year, there's a couple of other places, two of them extremely important. North Carolina and Louisiana. There's a couple of senators sitting there right now that should not be in office. They don't represent our ideals. They fight us at every turn. They're rubber stamps for the Obama administration and the destruction of this country. We cannot accept that. The membership that you people represent is substantial. I know a lot of us are sitting there and we're lamenting, well, we don't have the same numbers that we had in 2012. I didn't either up in New York, but we didn't give up. We got state senators elected. We got members of a local town board elected. We got members of the assembly elected. I'm trying to get Gary elected to the U.S. Senate. But even that's impossible in New York State. That stuff's not impossible here. That stuff is not impossible here. The reason I came to Florida when Gary asked me, I left my family up there, I left my business up there, I left that organization. Because this is where it can happen. This is where we can start the change in the country. This is the biggest of the swing states. Don't ever for a second diminish how important the work is that you are doing. Don't for a second. And just because you have half the number of people that are showing up in your meetings, it doesn't matter. Because we can be the force multiplier to take the people that are left and the people willing to work and extend that power into other states and places where it matters. We're working hard right now in North Carolina and Louisiana. I'm going to spend the next month there myself. Our staff is going to go up there because it's extremely, extremely important that we take back those Senate seats and get a Senate here. Now, I'm not a big fan of the Republicans or the Democrats. Matter of fact, that's why my organization started. They said, why did you start Conservative Society for Action? I said, because the Republicans, the Conservatives, the Independents, and the Democrats are not representing the people anymore. Period. You think these people are leaders down in Washington? We don't elect leaders anymore. We don't elect leaders anymore. The fact that you're in the Tea Party probably makes it difficult for you to get nominations. It's difficult to get nominations for positions of power to run. They're afraid of us. They're afraid why? They're afraid because you care about the people, not your career. If you looked at the platform of the Republican Party, read it. It pretty much stands for what we stand for. The smaller government, but it's all talk. When it comes down to take a vote, they're not there. Since they're not going to lead, we've decided at CVA that we will lead for them. You will lead for them. All great movements start with the people, whether that was, the anti-war movements or the movements of, the civil rights, women's suffrage. Go back there. Do you think those were people in Congress or the Senate who brought those ideas forth? Absolutely not, because they followed the will of the people. We have to change that here. We had one issue that just came up in the last couple of months. You probably heard about it. the scandals that happened at the Veterans Administration, especially down in Phoenix. 40 veterans, they decided, clearly, suffered at the hands of late treatment, no treatment, delays, lost records. It's been determined down there that the administrator in that facility purposely lost records to make herself look good, to collect a bonus, and 40 veterans died. We've all known about the Veterans Administration and the problems over the years. We ran a couple of congressional campaigns a few years ago from where I was. We asked every one of those people out there running, what do you think about the Veterans Administration, the long delays, the shoddy care? We actually had one congressman, he's still running again this year. He said, I am proud of what goes on at the Veterans Administration. It would be a fine model for the rest of the country for us to use that system for the rest of us. That's the mentality of people you have there. Concerned Veterans for America got sick and tired of that when these stories came out. So they decided to leave. They went out and they wrote a bill that Gary helped draft. Senator Rubio down here was involved with that. We sat in the offices and came up with a piece of legislation and brought it to the House of Representatives. They passed it pretty quick. Then we rolled over to the Senate. Well, there's a certain senator over there that hasn't seen a bill yet that doesn't have to have at least $17, $20, or $30 billion worth of pork and fat in it before it's going to get through the legislature. We attacked individual members. I don't mean we attacked them like they do in the Middle East. But we took out ads in their districts and said, you know what? You're not doing what's right for our veterans. You're not doing what's right for our veterans. They had to see this in the social media. They had to see it on television commercials. One by one, they started to fold. Because ultimately, they are afraid of you. They are afraid. That's what they're afraid of. But unless we're organized to go out there and bring that word, it's not going to happen. And also what happened is as these people changed their vote, our attitude towards them changed a little bit. Those ads that were out there reminding people about their inability to do what's right, those ads changed to, thank you for finally doing what's right. It was the proper execution of political power. And it wasn't done by the parties. It wasn't done by any leader in the House of Representatives or the Senate or in the White House. It was done by Concerned Veterans for America. It's a lesson on what we can do going forward. It's something that we're striving for. But right now, we need your help. If you have a group out there, we're going to ask that sometime in the next week or so, you get a group of your people together. It doesn't matter if it's 2, 4, 10, 20. We're going to give you some information out there that we want you to call into those swing states that are important right now. North Carolina, Louisiana, that's what we're targeting. If we can take down those states and we can turn those Senate, guess who's not going to be the head of the Senate anymore? Just so you know, Harry Reid's going to be next because we're working in Nevada also. We cannot do it without you. We're here today. We can be the force multiplier for you. We want you to go back to your people. We want you to say the same thing that I'm telling you today. We need you. 2 or 3 days, that's it, for a couple of hours, to make some phone calls into these key locations. Those elections right now, if you look at the polls, can go either way. We can take those seats. And if we take those seats and remove a guy like Harry Reid from the position of power that he's in, it can make a huge difference. And not only that, I think it will inspire people who maybe went home after 2012 to come back and get ready for 2016. Because ultimately, that's where the battle's going to be won and the future of the country is going to be won right here in the state of Florida. So we look forward to working with you people. Please contact us on the way out. Kevin's here, Kat's here, Liz is here. We got our staff out here and we have a table in the other room. So please join up with us. We'll work with you to put this together. We'll help you get the halls, get the people together. And if we all do that, we will be able to take our country back. Thank you.